We are live with the community. This is the Microsoft 365 Power Platform Community Call with Copilot, SharePoint, Power Apps, and more. Today is December 11th, and you may be saying, this isn't Chris Kent. Well, no problem. Chris is having a little technical difficulties with Teams. It is not his friend today, so he'll be along shortly and probably take over. But until then, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. It's going to be some exciting stuff today. We have so many cool things on the agenda. We're going to talk about the latest update on SharePoint Framework. We're going to get into all the wonderful community project updates like PNP.js, CLI for Microsoft 365, SPFx controls, SharePoint Framework Toolkit, search, new samples, and more. And then, of course, everyone's favorite time, which is picture time. Get those fantastic faces ready. And then we are going to have 3 incredible presentations today by all of our favorite ones in the community. Elio is here. He's going to be talking about bringing intelligence to enterprise search with Microsoft Foundry. So really cool information there in and around PNP search and utilizing the different ways that you can focus on and take advantage of search. And then Aimery is going to talk about SP shortcuts. This is an extension, super cool, quick access to SharePoint settings pages. And then Hugo Bernier, the one and only, is here to talk about AI-powered layout creation, building AI-integrated SPFx web part. This is part of a series, so you can catch up and binge on that anytime you'd like. But first, let's talk about some cool resources that are available to each and every one of you. We're going to start with our Microsoft Community Learning videos. That is a YouTube channel that is breaking all the rules in all the right ways. And what that means, it means that they tell us we should post less. But you know what? There is so much amazing content by members of Microsoft and all of you in the community that we don't. We're posting every single day because of all the work that you're doing. So thank you. Keep it up. Go smash that subscribe button and hit those likes button to let everyone know you appreciate them. We've also got our LinkedIn page, group for discussion, open source sample galleries. All you got to do is remember one single little URL to get access to all these things, maybe to aka.ms/community/home or our fancy top-level domain, which is community.ms. So take advantage of that and get involved. And if you're on the community call, hopefully that means you like calls. Well, we got plenty more. On Tuesday, this coming up, in fact, Tuesday is the Microsoft 365 Power Platform product updates call with Microsoft speakers. That means that you're going to hear from those product managers, program managers, that are creating all the cool tech we use each and every day. And so you can help influence and learn more about them. Now, it is going on break after this next Tuesday for a little bit, just to give everyone a chance to relax in the end of the year period. But we've also got our Thursday call, and this happens every Thursday by the community. That's the one you're on right now. That is not going on a break. There is no Ross Geller telling us we're on a break. So you can be sure to be here every day, even on Christmas. We're going to be here, and we're going to just be having a fun conversation. So feel free to join. And then, of course, we've got our monthly Power Platform call, which is coming up next week, 3rd Wednesday of every month, and Office add-ins. You can get all the calls at aka.ms/community/calls. And looking to that call on Tuesday, Vesa is going to be here talking about introduction to SharePoint Pages Agent in Microsoft 365. But before that, Fabian's going to cover Copilot Studio MCP from zero to shipping a real event agent. So super, super cool. That's the last call of the year for Tuesday. So if you want to tell your grandkids you were there, make sure you tune in. And if you're watching and you think, I would love to present on this call, is that even possible? Do they invite everyone to present on these calls? You betcha. All you got to do is fill out this form. Don't overthink it. Don't think that I have nothing to share. Make sure that you feel passionate, and that's all we're looking for. So if you like what you've been creating and you want to share it with the community, you got it. Don't hesitate to fill out that form, let us know, and we'll even buddy up with you. And if you're contributing, or excuse me, you want to contribute, and you're seeing all these cool things, and you're like, I don't know, that GitHub place is scary. Our Sharing is Caring is here to take care of you. On Monday, December 29th, we know that's the week between Christmas and New Year's. A lot of folks have a very quiet period at work or just simply are off work and looking to invest in new knowledge. We're going to set up that Sharing is Caring on that Monday, and this is a live session that's going to walk you through how to contribute. It's going to demystify all those terms like pull request and raw and fork and blame and what are all these things within GitHub. We'll work on an actual contribution together. It's live in a Teams call, and it's safe space, so it does not get recorded, which means that you are free to ask any and all questions that you would like. So don't worry about it. We'll demystify it. At the end of it, you'll see that GitHub isn't scary, as Bo Cameron says, but you're going to love it. It's going to be awesome, and it counts as a contribution. And why does that matter? Because, as I just kind of snuck in, our recognition program is here to recognize the work that you're doing. So we've got amazing badges here that are fully accredited. that are also considered best in class by Credly. That is Credly recognizing all the work that you all are doing as best in class. And at the end of the year, we have a lot of these fun and thematic badges, but they are real and they are accredited and they show that you are making a difference. So let your managers know, let your clients know. It could lead to the next big raise and or promotion or big contract with your client because they recognize that you are a leader in the community. So get involved, contribute, fill out this form. Just got to do it once, ak.ms/community/recognition, and we'll track all the wonderful work you're doing, and we'll recognize you. All right, let's get into SharePoint Framework, and Vesa is going to tell us more.
Yes, quick important updates, and here, super excited. General availability of SharePoint Framework 122 came out last night. I actually stayed up until 2 a.m. in the morning to actually finally get it out. We had some small technical processing issues, but everything is good now. If you find any issues, please report them immediately in the SharePoint DevDocs issue list, so we're able to start addressing things. But now it is generally available, and it is a big change because it does change existing build scripts and the build pipeline tooling. So for developer, it is a change. For end users, obviously, the outcomes and everything else has still remained the same. And we are addressing all of the security issues on NPM on this one. And the audit is showing 0 right now, which is really, really cool. Let's go to the following slide. So, oh, yes, updated chart. Yes, we are growing, which is, yay, there we go. Looking really cool. Cool to see the continuous interest and growth on. Damn, I'm going fast. Interest on SPFx. Let's go to the following slide. Just a quick recap on the previously shared roadmap. So 122 is now out. That was released on 10th of December, and that was indeed addressing all of the NPM audit issues. We do acknowledge that for anybody who understands how this actually works, any time of the day or any second, that theoretically there might be new reported issues available, and that then potentially means that we need to do a update within our packages, which we are committed on doing as well. It doesn't mean that it will come out in immediately within a day or two, but we are following on the situation there. Now, 123, we're expecting to have a first beta or preview on that one relatively fast in end of January or in early February, and that's going to continue on moving this journey a bit, let's say, on a ask the direction with a open source templates and SPFx CLI, getting rid of the Yeoman generator, providing more open source capabilities for you as well. Command set improvements, new and edit panel overrides, all in the pipeline. New debugger toolbar is coming as well. We're looking into deprecating the workbench with that one. It might sound scary. It's not. There's a good story on that one as well. We'll get more details on that available. And then May, June, navigation customizers on the pipeline. But that's a quick update on SharePoint Framework side. Super excited on 122, GA out. And if you find anything, please let us know immediately.
Awesome. Thank you, Vesa. Very cool, exciting things on the horizon. So awesome. Okay, let's get into our open source projects. We're going to start with one of the easier ways to contribute, everybody, as our Copilot prompt library. We've all been learning that love language with LLMs and how to talk to it. And if you've learned a great prompt, then share it with the community. Because if you do, you could become the prompt of the week. Valerius here has shared AI-powered code review feedback generator. So I won't read it, but you can kind of see how it goes into providing code and detailed assessment of your code in terms of readability, maintainability, complexability. So really cool stuff. Valerius, very cool. Really appreciate that. And you can find that at the prompt library. And we've got the link in the chat as well for those and the show notes on Watching on Demand. All right, let's move into PNP.js with Julie Turner.
Hey, I don't have much to share today. 4.18 should be released December 15th, which is next week. However, as of right now, we don't have anything to release, so that would be pushed out then to January if that continues to be the case through into next week. In the meantime, though, version 5 updates have started. The project is in the repo. We don't have nightly builds for that yet, but we will start to have them when we get enough in there that it makes sense to do so. But in the meantime, nightly builds for V4, if there are any changes that are merged in, you can get those there. Otherwise, check out our repo for the docs, and that's all I have for today. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie. Great stuff. All right, let's move into CLI with Gary Trender.
Thanks, David. Yep, new release of CLI for Microsoft 365. This is version 11.2. One new command for SharePoint Online to get the version policy settings of a site. That's the only command, but there's lots of updates, improvements as well. You can check out all the details of those if you take a look at our release notes. Just go to aka.ms/CLI-M365/notes. If you want to try and run this, then just use the latest tag on npm or on Docker. And if you haven't moved to version 11 yet, make sure you check out our upgrade guidance to make sure that you have got any scripts that you might need to make some changes to. Go to aka.ms/CLI-M365/upgrade for the guidance. Moving on. We have a new release of DevProxy. This is a new major version. This is version 2. Now, this is a small breaking change. We noticed that our mock response plugin for Graph actually didn't align with how Graph actually behaved around dates. So the date format being returned was incorrect. We have corrected that, but if you have some code that expects a particular date format, we've probably broken you. So hence the version 2. We've also added some new improvements as well. So we've upgraded to .NET 10, so we're using the latest version of .NET. We've also enhanced our AI telemetry plugins as well. So you can use a DevProxy to understand how many tokens you're using in your requests to LLMs. We now report the cached tokens that are used as well. So you can see how you are benefiting from the platform's caching of prompts. For this release as well, we've released a new version of DevProxy Toolkit. This is v1.10, so you're now up to date with all the snippets and schemas for version 2. And yeah, if you want to know more about DevProxy, check out aka.ms/DevProxy. There's the getting started guide, downloads, everything that you need to know. David, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's get into reusable SPFx controls with Alex.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Yeah, not too much updates. So we are still on the versions 3.23 and 3.22 for the controls. We are planning to make the next version with support for G8 122 of SPFx. It will probably take a little while because we need to update we don't need, but we will update from gulp to heft. So it will take us a while, but as usual, report the issues, and thank you for all the contributors who are making these controls great. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. And we'll move into the SPFx toolkit with Deco.
Right. Thank you very much, David. So we are already at version 4.13.11, which includes the latest dependency updates and several bug fixes to keep the toolkit running smoothly. But the big update in this one is that we added 3 new language model tools to specifically for your SharePoint page management, like list, get, and remove your SharePoint modern pages. In the meantime, we already released a pre-release version 4.13.12, which enables your heft tasks. And in the meantime, we are currently busy with pre-release version 4.13.13 for the SPFx version 1.22. So it sure goes fast. Back to you, David.
Very, very cool. Thank you for the update. Great work there. Let's move into search with Casper, the friendly contributor.
Yeah, thank you. We are on 4.18.2 right now, and we have a release candidate in the pipeline for next week. So just that'll be an early Christmas present for some of you. It's primarily just bug fixes and some enhancements as well, because we have a lot of issues on the list. Well, issues, most of them are actually improvement suggestions. So we have a lot of those in the pipeline right now, and we will release them pretty soon. If you need anything additional for Microsoft Search, rather not SharePoint Search, but Microsoft Search, please let us know in the repository, because we have started looking into how we can improve the out-of-the-box experience when you are using Microsoft Search. Because that have been sort of like deprecated, because most people are using SharePoint Search. still. So any ideas, any suggestions, let us know, because that will most likely be the theme for next year. Back to you, David.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, let's round it out with some SPFx samples and turn it over to Hugo.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. We have a repository of SPFx web parts and extensions that you can use to learn how to build applications. And, some of them are ready for use right now, but some of them may illustrate a concept that you're interested in. These are the latest ones: Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat with Search and with WorkIQ and SPFx by Paolo, Group Members web part by Nico, a QR code generator web part by Nico, Site Content web part by Harminder, a React Who's In board by Sudeep, and Telemetry Event Sender web part by Valeris, Page Summarization with Chrome Built-in AI with Anoop, and Document Library Explorer by Sai Sivaram Bandaru. Thanks to everyone who have contributed. You obviously get a fancy sample contributor SPFX web part badge. And by the way, my automated notification to tell me that there's pull requests in the extensions repo was not working. So thanks to Alex for, no, not Alex, Adam for pointing it out. I will be processing the extensions shortly. You can get all the samples by going to aka.ms/community/samples. And if you want to contribute, you can go to aka.ms/SPFX-webparts. Back to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you, Hugo. I bet there's an extension to monitor your extension, but then do you need an extension to monitor? Anyways, all right, so let's talk about ACEs. Derek and Anoop are doing an awesome job in managing this, but they would love some new samples. There's none right now. We do love new samples, and you do get a fancy badge there that's super cool with little ACE cards on it. So don't hesitate. This is a great way to get involved too, super easy, and a wonderful way to be recognized. All right, we are just a little overtime, so let's get into our picture time with together mode. So go ahead and turn those cameras on. We will move this in and I will set it all up. Turn your cameras on, and if it works, it works. Okay, let's do this. Let's get into school. Everybody's going to teach us a little something today, so let's apply that one. I will move this over. We're here for some learning, and I will set up. Hugo is looking very ready to teach. He's got the arms crossed. Ian's got the hat on. Woo, look at that. I love this bunch. Looking great. Okay. Look at that. This is the head of the class. Oh, he's such a good student. All right. Let's give this just another second. See Natalie. I see Fabio. Great. Let's do the countdown. Let's say 3 and 2 and 1. And wave to the community, everybody. Great to see you all again. Thank you so much for all the amazing work that you're doing in the community. It would not be possible to have these events without you at all. So thank you for everything you do each and every single day. Again, would not be possible without you. All right, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. And we're going to move into our amazing demos of the day with our 3 incredible presenters. And we're going to start with Elio, who's going to talk about bringing intelligence to enterprise search with Microsoft Foundry. So feel free to take on over the screen, Elio. The show is yours, my friend.
So hello, everyone. Welcome again. It's been a really, really long time for me that I've been on a PMP call. So finally, I'm back, and I found a reason to come back. So I've still been working in SharePoint for quite a long time, and I think I'm back now as well. And I've been working for Point5 for, I think, 2 years, where I got an interesting project where I was working with PMP Search and was able to bring in Microsoft Foundry, which was AI features in PMP. So for the people that don't know me, I'm Elio from Belgium. And let's go on. So what is the project exactly? It's all around PMP search, and we want to enable the user to have better information that is coming from search and better understanding on what they are searching. So first of all, we optimize the KQL query from SharePoint. So from the user, they pass in a query, and then we are going to reformulate or enhance that. And then another part is the summarization of what you get back from SharePoint is not always great for the end user. So we are going to summarize the contents of the actual document or page, where we are going to extract key information. So it's not that we are working with the search data, it's the live document content, and that's what we are going to summarize towards Microsoft Foundry. So how did we build it, or how did I build it? It's an extension on the PnP modern search web parts. So love the modern search web parts, and mainly the extension framework, because that allows you as a partner, as a consultant, and so on, to enhance the experience of PnP search. One funny fact is our solution is in app source, meaning it's a SaaS offering, and apparently the SharePoint store didn't fully support SPFx libraries, so we had to come up with a solution that has been fixed, I think, nowadays. But the first time when we released it, it was just breaking because there was no web part or an app customizer in it, so it didn't look for libraries, so it was not a valid solution, and there were some JavaScript errors, very funny back then. So what we do is we have two phases. The first phase is the query optimization, and then the second phase is a summary. That's where we are actually focusing on two models. We are using the GPT mini model for the keyword suggestions or the enhancements, and then we can use the GPT-5, a larger model for the summarization. But as a customer, you can also choose with us. So commercial products, but let's first go and show you a couple of things on how it works, and then I can dive into the code. So here you see the summarizer. We have a toggle where we can say, do you want to have the optimization on or off? And if we are going to say, okay, let me give some hotel reviews or hotel review, then it's going to start the search, and then it's going to start the summary. So this is what happens when you are going to search without the optimization. It's just hotel review, but not every time that the user is going to search it's the best search result. So I accidentally refreshed. That was not on purpose. So if I go and do the same thing again, and I toggle this one on, what is going to happen then is it's going to enhance it. So it's going to say, oh, it's hotel review, guest review, maybe customer review, and so on. So you get already more results. You can also see multiple guest reviews were given on this hotel, and then you can also see which sentences we used for the actual summarization. Now, let's go over to the code so that you can actually see what has been built. So in our code base, there is like the extensibility library. And first of all, the whole thing is built with web components. So we have a couple of web components. The main one is the PF summarization component and the search query optimization component, because these two are used for the summarization and for the enhancements. The second one is the summarization template. The template that we use will show you that as well, and then the custom query modifier. So the first thing on the query modifier is it's going to modify the query. If you already worked with the PnP extensibility library, this is one of the main features that you can do. What it's doing is the moment a user is going to search, it's going to pass that over to the PnP search results web part, and then the PnP search results web part retrieves that query, and then you can do something with it. So what we do here is we retrieve the query text. We are going to check if there's an actual value. If there's an actual value, then we are going to optimize it. There's some internal caching as well in it, so we don't want to continuously go to AI, because every call is going to cost some tokens. We want to save some precious costs, so we are going to create a cache. So we are going to check if we already did the same call, and then we are going to enhance it or return the same promise. Behind the scenes, there has been a change in GPT-5. So if you were working with GPT-4 before, there were some things that were like temperature and so on. This has been removed. With GPT-5, you don't have temperature anymore. So that's also why we build in some checks if a person is actually using GPT-5. And what we also do is check out or calculate the maximum tokens. And our maximum tokens looks like this. So for GPT-5, there's a high reasoning model and a minimal reasoning model and so on. So there are 4 types. And we have calculated the number of tokens that are needed in order to have the high reasoning working. So like, for instance, for when working with GPT-5, you need at least 1,500 tokens. In order to have the reasoning model working, and then you can do the extra calculation on whatever you want to do with your call. So for me, for instance, the summarization, so it's going to be 100 tokens multiplied by a word count, and then plus also an extra buffer to make sure that it's going to work and that there's enough tokens. For the minimal, it requires 150 tokens. Comparing this to other models, like for instance, GPT-4, there we could just work with 50 tokens at a minimum. So that's quite different if you're coming from GPT-4 over to GPT-5. So that was on the keyword side. From the moment you've done your keyword call towards AI, it's going to render the template. And in our template, we have a summarization HTML. This is just a web component, can be dropped in any template, but we created our own template with the PF summarization. Here are a couple of properties. One of the properties that is very important to us is the total item count. And the reason why the total item count is very important is that's also something that we can check whenever a search call is being made. And there's another thing that we also check is when the, let's go already to this one, that the PMP search result loading overlay, because once the PMP search result is going to render, it's going to execute your template. So, and at that moment, it's also going to do some handlebars execution and so on and so on. Now, the problem is when you're working with AI, you don't want to do an overload of API calls because AI is it's going to take quite a long time, but also there's a threshold or a throttling limit, and you don't want to reach that really quickly. So the limit on your items should be very low. So less than 10 would be ideal. But if you're going to do like 20 calls at minimum of 10 or less than 10 seconds, it's going to be throttled. So what we noticed is the moment you start searching and you do a research or researching again, it's going to spin the wheel, but behind the scenes, it's going to do an update to the current results. So your API call is going to happen again, and then it's going to show the new results, and then the API calls are going to happen again as well. So what we did here is the moment our summarization template or web component is going to load, it's first going to check if there's a spinner on the page. If there's a spinner on the page, then we are going to ignore it. The moment the spinner is gone, then it knows, okay, now it's time for me to actually start working. And then we have some logic on which kind of content we support, like pages or documents or so on. And from those documents, we are going to retrieve the sentences, as I already mentioned. So we get the document content over here. We have some promises so that we make sure that the same document is not going to be called multiple times, so that the same ones are going to be stored in a promise. From the moment we receive the sentences that are important to that document in combination with the current search keyword, we have a whole logic. So that's something I cannot share because that's the business logic of our solution. We get the sentences back, and these sentences are going to be set, and then we can start working with the summarization. So the moment we have that, we receive these sentences, we send it over to our AI service or Microsoft Foundry. We get the summary back, and that's what we are going to show in the end. So in the end, it's just some HTML that is going to be shown, like, is it a valid document? Yes, okay. And then we are going to show the data. So that's basically a good overview of what is working behind the scenes. So over here, In our web parts, there is nothing more than a SharePoint search with some configuration. Here you see the search template, and then under here you have our layout options with all the information that is required. And at the end, it's just a connection point with from the extensibility library with the PMP search result web part. So I hope it was some interest to you, and back to you.
Elio, super cool. Thank you for bringing this and featuring it with the community, and it just shows how much cool things can be created when you harness the power of the community and the tools that are created in the community. So really a testament to collaboration all the way around. So really love it. Thank you so much. Great stuff. And Elio's got a lot more in his blog. Everybody will put that link into the chat as well as the show notes if you'd like to check out more. So thank you again, Elio. Welcome back to the calls. It's been so long. I haven't hung up since you left, so I finally can get some sleep. Super excited. Thank you. Awesome. All right.
Nice to be here.
So
Bye-bye.
Next up is Aimery. Feel free to take on over the screen, Aimery, and we will get you introduced here on the topic. SP shortcuts, quick access to SharePoint setting pages. Feel free to take on over the screen, and the show's yours.
Yes. Thank you, David. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you, but I don't see anything shared yet.
Yeah. I'm sharing my screen. All right. Now. One moment.
No problemo. We'll edit all this out and post anyways. It's like it never happened.
Yeah. Okay. Should be fine now.
It is low. Yep, I see it. Take it away.
Perfect. Thank you. Hello everyone. So my name is Aimery Thomas. I'm a modern workplace consultant at Avanade, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP for SharePoint and M365 development. And today I'm going to talk to you about SP Shortcuts, which is a Chrome extension that I've built. So this is a Google Chrome extensions, but this is compatible with the Microsoft Edge as well. And basically, with this extension, you will be able to access SharePoint setting pages, such as the term store, the recycle bin, or else using the right-click context menu. When you install the extension, you will have a first set of default links or shortcuts that you can use, but you can also customize this list by adding or removing some shortcuts. Let's move to the demo. So here I'm on the SharePoint site, and let's say that I want to access the site columns page to add a new site column. So to do that, I need to click on this wheel, then go to site content, then site settings, and again site columns. So it requires a few clicks to reach that page. Now if I go back to the home page and then I right click, I access the SP shortcuts menu, and I have the site columns shortcuts here, which opens the site column page directly. So it's it's actually faster. Now, when I am on the document library or SharePoint list, I can also right click and access the list settings here, which will should open, yes, the list settings for my document library, instead of actually going to library settings and then more library settings. So pretty cool. Okay, so now if I want, so as you can see here, I have some already predefined shortcuts, but I can go on the settings page, which will open this setting interface where I can actually remove some shortcuts if I don't need it, edit shortcut if I want to, but I can also add a new shortcut. For instance, let's add the site collection administrator shortcut, add shortcut, and now if I'm going back on my SharePoint site, I have the site collection administrator shortcut, which allows me to check who is admin of my site. So all the shortcuts are stored in the sync storage. You can see here all my shortcuts stored here. It means that as long as I'm using my profile with the synchronization of data enabled, I will be able to access my shortcuts. So that's another cool feature. Now let's look at some code. So I won't show you all the code of the extension because it would take quite a long time, but let me, yes, show you some interesting topics. So the first thing I wanted to show you is how I'm building the link to the SharePoint document library or list settings. Because as you may know, this link includes the ID of the list. It's not a static link like the one to access site columns, for instance. So I need to get the ID of the list where you are to be able to build this link and to create a shortcut. So to do so, first I wanted to use the page context to get this list ID, but unfortunately it's not always accessible, available, especially on modern SharePoint pages. So what I'm doing instead is I'm doing a REST API, SharePoint REST API call using the list URL to get information on the list and specifically the ID that I need. And once I have that, I can build the shortcut. Next thing I wanted to show you is the permissions that the extension needs to work. So basically, the extension needs to know if you are on a SharePoint site, if you are on a document library or SharePoint list, access the storage to store the shortcuts, and also to create new tabs when you click on a shortcut. So it's pretty standard permission, I would say, for this kind of extension. Unfortunately, and let me go back to the slide, with this permission, when you will install the extension, you will have this message, which, to be honest, can be kind of scary, I would say. But again, this is a pretty standard permission. I even found some other extension that you may know if you work with SharePoint, which is a SP editor, which is using the same kind of permission. And I've tried, of course, to use less permission, but unfortunately, it's not possible. But don't worry, the extension won't modify your SharePoint data nor access your browsing history. So if you use the extension and have any feedback or features, ideas, feel free to reach out. And as a matter of fact, I'm currently working on a new feature to be able to create shortcuts not only on the current site, but also to add shortcuts to other SharePoint sites, which can be useful if you want to add shortcuts, for instance, to access settings on the SharePoint admin. And this feature was actually suggested by a fellow MVP, Kasper Larsen, which you heard like a few minutes ago. So thanks for that. That's it for me. Thank you very much, and back to you, David.
Awesome, Aimery. This is super, super cool and available, everybody, by the way, in the Google Chrome or Shortcuts Chrome store as an extension. The link is in the chat, as well as the open source. So is it safe to say, Aimery, that you're open to collaborate with others that have additional ideas and stuff like that, since you shared the GitHub?
Yep, definitely. Of course.
Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. Great job. Thanks for sharing that. It's those little things that make so much more efficiency in our role and our job, right? So really love to see how this stuff is working together and adding up, and really great job. Okay. All right. Well, let's see another great job in action. We are going to invite Hugo Bernier to the stage. He is on a thematic tour of AI integrated SPFx web parts. And today he's going to talk about AI powered layout creation. So my good friend Hugo, feel free to go whenever you're, I don't know, go.
You're not the boss of me. Hey, before we start, since we're talking about extensions, I'd like to remind everyone that I have a fancy extension called the Bork, which just changes your GitHub fork button to a Bork button. Super important extension that everyone should have. All right. Okay. Welcome to this series of creating AI-powered adaptive card web parts. My name is Hugo Bernier, and today I will be continuing this super long series. Previously on our series, we showed you how to build an adaptive card web part. We showed you how to build a custom property pane. We showed you how to make it UI theme aware so that it reacts to changing colors of your site. And today we're going to show you how we can actually use AI to power the layout creation of your adaptive cards. This series is really about taking small chunks, small bite-size episodes where we show you basically how to add every bells and whistles to your web parts. And of course, bells and whistles must include AI nowadays. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so let's start with a demo. Boop. Okay, so I have my fancy workbench, and I will add my web part here. Again, this adaptive card web part allows you to build adaptive cards. I'll just click on the configure button. And again, we showed previously that we'll be able to connect to different data sources. In this case, I'm just going to use no data, and we can actually edit the template. Now, the template is empty, and I've previously showed how I can just copy and paste adaptive card templates, but we now have the ability to add fancy AI stuff. So let me just see if I can think of something clever here. Let's say build me an adaptive card that shows the weather forecast. There you go. So what we should see here is, if the demo gods are with me, cool. It's going to go to AI. It's going to kind of come up with a web part, an adaptive card, and it will render it for me. Now, one of the things that we've done is we've made it so that it allows me to go edit the adaptive card or to make additional comments on what's been provided so that I can update the adaptive card. So for example, can you make the location Barrie, Ontario, which is where I live? Now, it's not actually going to pick up the weather, the actual weather, because it's probably about minus 72 right now here. Speaking of which, can you switch to Celsius? and it should be quickly adapting things. Now, I don't want to make the entire demo about this because the important part here is that we're illustrating how to use AI to actually generate things. But you can see, again, it has the context of the adaptive card that's being rendered. It allows me to actually quickly make updates and things like that. I could say, go fix typos. I could copy and paste and do things like that. But let's just apply that. And let's go back to our code to show how we've actually done this. All right. Code. All right, so the first thing we should probably talk about is before we do this, we should show how the conversation happens, right? So basically what I do is I say, make me an adaptive card that would show Bo's profile, for example. I haven't picked on Bo in a while, so let's do that. And then if I was just using a regular AI conversation with most models, it would return something like this, right? It would say, here's an adaptive card, and then it would use kind of the markdown convention to show a block of, in this case, JSON code that would contain the adaptive card. And I could do that. It would be easy. The only problem is I would have to actually, excuse me, browse, not browse, but parse the response to extract the JSON, which is not exactly what I'm looking for. So here's what would happen is I would get the text and I would get the JSON. And then I would have to personally figure out what's going on so I can separate the part that goes into the adaptive card, the Monaco editor, the Visual Studio Code editor that's in the page, and the part that renders the adaptive card. And then the rest of the chat would show on the left. But I don't want to do that. I'm the world's laziest developer. So, oops, don't know what's happening here. The other thing that I could do, I apologize for that red thing there. The other thing that I could do is I could actually say, well, and this is actually what Copilot suggested to me. It said, hey, you should really do this. You should tell it, respond in this format, right? Message, and then put the message here, and adaptive card, and put the full adaptive card JSON here. And then when I would send this instruction, then when the user sends a message like make me an adaptive card that show Bo's profile, it would actually do something like this. Come on. There you go. It would return me something like this, right? Message and adaptive card. Now the problem is with this, you can probably see that right away, and I really need to kill those animations, is what happens if I'm trying to parse the message itself by text, and I'm looking for placeholders like adaptive card. And in the prompt or in the response, it decided to include the word adaptive card multiple times. How do I know which section I should be using? So it's probably not a good idea to rely on purely text to do this. Another way to do this is to actually tell it, give me a response in a structured way. So give me a JSON object that gives me a response that will include the message, and that will include the adaptive card as two very distinct components. That way, I don't have to actually parse plain text. I can actually just parse JSON, and I'm really good at parsing JSON. And so then what would happen is when I ask, just to change things up a little bit, make me an adaptive card that shows the weather forecast, which is a demo I just showed you, it would actually send me a JSON structure with the message. Here's an adaptive card that displays, and then the actual adaptive card itself. Ooh, that's fancy there. The adaptive card, even though I have the word adaptive card, right? I don't have to worry about looking for hard-coded string in my text because I'm parsing JSON, which is cool. All right. So this is kind of how it works. Let's go. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to show you. Let's go back here. I had built this gratuitous animation for you. So here's the thing, though. The benefit of asking it to give me a structured output is that if I use a streaming endpoint where I want the AI to actually type the message as it gets the information back, this is something that would look like this. It would say here, but in the message, but in the adaptive card, it would start building the JSON. So here's an adaptive card, blah, 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 right? It continues building both the message and the adaptive card parts of the structured output. That's something that's not really well documented. When you ask for structured output, you might think that it's streaming JSON and you're going to get incomplete JSON. But no, as a general rule, you'll always get complete JSON in your structured output. It's just that, again, in the case of my adaptive card, where I'm actually asking for a stringified JSON structure, that JSON inside of the adaptive card node might not be completed yet. So how do we do that? Well, here you go. Take a look at the code. I'll just pause for 10 minutes while you read that. Or I could just maybe tell you what I'm doing. All right, so the first thing is I have a function called chat for adaptive card because I'm a real original person with my naming convention. And the first thing I do is I give it system instructions. Now, these system instructions are, they're not quite optimized yet. I wanted to keep it simple, but I'm basically telling it, hey, you're going to help me build Microsoft adaptive cards. And you have to respond to me using this JSON schema. And the JSON schema goes as follows. So you're going to send me a message. Oops. You're going to send me a message and an adaptive card. Now, the message is going to be really short, user-friendly explanation. And then the adaptive card has to be a string. Now, I spent a lot of time trying to expect JSON, right? Because it's telling me it's going to send me JSON. Understand that if you're using streaming endpoints, you might not get complete JSON inside of that node. So just process it as a string as long as you can. And then I tell it, don't wrap the JSON with backticks or code fences and don't include any other properties. Cool. Now, the cool thing about that is I can separately build the user's request. And if I have a current adaptive card, JSON, I can pass it the current adaptive card as well. So it's able to, what's the word I'm looking for, iterate on the adaptive card. Like I ask it, hey, can you just change it to Celsius or can you change the location? And then I'm building basically the structure here that I'm going to send. In this case, I'm using OpenAI responses, where I'm telling it that the format I'm expecting is going to be JSON. So the format, JSON. I need to give it a name, so I'm calling it an adaptive card chat result. Again, did I mention I'm very original in my naming convention? Then I give it the schema, and the schema is going to be an object that I don't want any of the other additional properties. And the properties are going to be, here's the message that I want, which is going to be a string. And here's my adaptive card, which is going to be a string as well. Now, it's always helpful when you give it a schema to describe the various elements, just to help it understand, again, the context of what it's returning it. And I'm telling it that I need absolutely always a message and an adaptive card, even if they are empty. And then when I'm building the body for my message, I'm sending it the model. Later, you'll show that we'll add a model selector. So the model is not hard-coded. The instructions that I've built before to tell it how to resend the information, as well as the messages that I want to send. I'm using a temperature here that doesn't allow it to go too crazy and creative. And then I tell it that I'm expecting text. Now, the cool thing about that is now all I need to do is actually just send a post message to AI using create. Now, in future calls, we'll show you how we've separated Azure OpenAI, and any other AI provider that we want, because that's how cool this web part's going to be. But then what we do is we actually parse the JSON response that we got. Again, the JSON response is going to include both a message and an adaptive card. And that's it. So this is what I get when I send this request. It gives me a message and it gives me an adaptive card. Now the adaptive card again is encoded to fit inside of a JSON. So what we do is if we take that JSON here and we de-escape it, whatever the proper word is, we will get something like this, which is an actual adaptive card JSON structure. Now you could absolutely do exactly the same thing for whatever structure you wanted. I think in previous calls I've showed how I could do mermaid diagrams and things like that. But here, what I'm asking it to do is very specific to adaptive cards. But of course, you could use the same approach to build any kind of structure you want. And then one last thing that I wanted to show you is that when I send stuff to AI, which again, with my fancy naming convention, handle sent to AI, I get the prompt, I get the current card JSON that I pass, and then I call my chat to adaptive card web part. I clear any other error messages that I may have, but then this is the one trick that I've learned. When I get the adaptive card, which is a JSON structure, and I set the value to actually show it in both the adaptive card Monaco editor, the Visual Studio Code editor window that you see, as well as the adaptive card preview, I actually format it. I do it on a little timeout because I need about 50 milliseconds for it to update its information. But behind the scenes, I actually tell it, go format the document so it always looks like pretty JSON. That's just a little trick I've learned. Otherwise, I would be trying to format the JSON myself and it wouldn't look pretty. So key takeaways, ground your LLM. Remember, grounding is actually telling it, here's the information that you are going to need that you might not have. Here's the information you're going to need to provide context to our conversation. In my case, I'm grounding it with the adaptive card structure that may have already been provided. Use structured outputs to separate chat from code. Now, you're not limited to 2 different nodes in your structured output. I could have a section for the chat message, one for the code, and maybe one to, I don't know, tell me what version of or what iteration of the code it is so that I can actually go back in history and take snapshots or something. Assume that the code that is returned may be incomplete, and then don't try to format the code yourself. What's left to do, though, is we still have to think about these things. In my code right now, because I'm using streaming and I'm calling OpenAI directly from my web part, I actually have my API keys in the client-side code, which is not good. Don't put the API keys in the client-side code, and I will show you later how to get rid of that. I still have to handle streaming. We want to add a conversation ID to actually be able to go back to our previous conversation. We'll show you that later. And don't always send the adaptive card JSON if it isn't needed because I'm using tokens that I shouldn't be using every single time. And later, we'll actually provide additional data context because you may have seen earlier that my web part will allow you to have different data structures that can be passed. I want to include that as part of my grounding so that it knows how to handle the data structure. And of course, I will need to provide way more exciting examples of adaptive cards. Otherwise, it's always going to be very boring. So we went through AI-powered layout creation. Next time, we're going to show you how to connect to various data providers so that we can make these templates rich and dynamic. That's it for me. For more information, you can go to adaptive cards and then the structured model outputs that I showed you. There's a cool article on OpenAI that shows you how to do that. It's also available for Azure OpenAI. But that's it for me. Back to you, host.
Awesome. Thank you. Wowee! I think I give it 10 wowies today for all of our presenters. Chris Kent finally got in. Tech finally let him in. Come on, Chris. Wowee! 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 There we go. There he is. Awesome. Love it. Yes, 10 wowies for all of our presenters today. Welcome back, Elio. We missed you. Aimery, great job. Thank you for sharing your extension with the community. And Hugo on the next episode of Building AI Integrated Web Parts with Hugo. We are super excited. Great job. Excellent job by everybody today. Thank you for sharing your passion. Just amazing, amazing stuff. Let's wrap the show up today, everybody. We have our Discord server, but first we'd love to hear feedback. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'd love to have any feedback that you are willing to provide us. That is constructive feedback and good feedback. So if things are working and you like what we're doing, let us know. It really helps to ensure that we keep you in our minds, as well as targeting what it is that you are looking for. So we appreciate that. So you can fill out that form and let us know. With that, we have our Discord server, over 3,000 members now. Woohoo! You could be the next one and show your kids how cool you are as they talk about 6-7. You can be like, well, I'm in Discord, so there you go. So definitely go. It is a one-stop shop for all of those cool initiatives within the community. So great way to collaborate with other members of the community in one place, and it's absolutely free. All right, the recording will be available in 24 hours or less on the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. You can get and subscribe to it today at ak.ms/community/YouTube. We are also on all the other socials, Twitter/X, Blue Sky, LinkedIn. The next community call will be 1 week from today, December 18th. The next and final for the year MS Speakers Product Updates call will be December 16th. So we'll hope to see you all on the calls next week, as well as the Power Platform monthly call. It's going to be a wonderful week as we start winding down the year. Again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, our presenters. Thank you for showing up and contributing to this community. It would not be possible without you. Have a great rest of your day. Wonderful long weekend as you get there, and we will see you on the next call. Bye-bye. Wowee!
Bye-bye. Wow.